health, and other socio-economic and political themes. Previously, we have had the honor of hosting a number of prominent personalities, including our Finance Minister, Mr. Ishaq Dar. This evening, we are privileged to host Mr. Ahsan Iqbal, Minister for Interior. He also holds the portfolio of the Minister of Planning, Development and Reform. Mr. Ahsan Iqbal was appointed Federal Minister for Planning, Development and Reform after the May 2013 elections, when he was elected for the fourth time as a member of the National Assembly from Narowal. He is the Deputy Secretary General of the PMLN and also a member of the Central Executive Committee of the party. He also served briefly as Federal Minister for Education in 2008. Minister Iqbal has a distinguished academic background. After completing a degree in mechanical engineering from UET Lahore, he obtained a master's in business administration from the prestigious Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. He has also attended executive and mid-career programs at various universities, including the School of Foreign Service at the Georgetown University, the University of Oxford, as well as the Harvard University. As Minister of Planning, Mr. Iqbal has been closely involved in developing and implementing the landmark China-Pakistan Economic Corridor project. Minister Iqbal formulated Pakistan's first IT policy in the 1990s. He is also the architect of Vision 2020. In February 2016, Minister Iqbal was appointed as the United Nations Development Programme's Champion Minister from the Asia-Pacific region in recognition of his efforts to promote sustainable development goals. I would like to request Ambassador Azaz Ahmad Chaudhry, Ambassador of Pakistan to the United States, to formally welcome the Honorable Minister. Sir.
Thank you very much. A very warm welcome to the Embassy of Pakistan, all our honored guests. I think the Minister needs no introduction. He's one of a rare breed where he combines scholarship with politics. And not only that, he's so well read, but also he's very articulate. He was here for essentially for attending a World Bank event at the invitation of the World Bank, but then he offered his services for what he does best, to project Pakistan's perspective. So we made good use of him. He made an excellent expose on the security situation in Pakistan and what we are doing to defeat terrorism at the SAIS Johns Hopkins School. Then he also met with some experts at the Middle East Institute and had a number of other meetings. And now I'm very happy that he has accepted our invitation to speak to you essentially on Pakistan's economy, how the emerging prospects enlighten our future. So Mr. Ahsan Iqbal, Minister, sir, I don't want to stand between you and the audience, so may I invite you to kindly share your thoughts.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ambassador Azaz Chaudhry and distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is indeed a great honor for me to speak to you at the Embassy Forum of Pakistan Embassy in Washington, D.C. As the Ambassador has mentioned, that I would like to share with you the developments in Pakistan, particularly with reference to its economy. But I am holding two portfolios. I hold portfolio of Minister of Planning, Development and Reform, which qualifies me to speak about development of Pakistan, but I also hold the portfolio of Interior, which gives me the opportunity to also share with you the security situation in Pakistan. And together, both peace and development form a very important combination for any nation or any country. As you know, that Pakistan is located at a very important geostrategic location in the world. It is a region which has been always very important in history. And Pakistan has also been at the front, as a frontline state, important element or member of many geostrategic theaters in the past in that region. And that, in a way, explains some of the problems and challenges which Pakistan faces today. The peace and security situation, which is a challenge in the region, is an outcome of the politics of the region, an outcome of the geopolitics of the world and that part of the world, which have created many problems for us today. With the United States, we have a long-standing relationship, which has been, unfortunately, a roller coaster relationship. And I have, found that this is a relationship which has been oscillating between decades. We have a decade of high relationship and a decade of low relationship. Then a decade of high relationship and a decade of low relationship. In 60s, we were very close. In 70s, we lost the warmth and the charm. In 80s, we again became very close because of the Afghan war. But as soon as the Soviets withdrew from Afghanistan, that relationship was again lost and we were subject to Pressler Amendment sanctions. Then again, after 9/11, with the beginning of post-2000 period, we became very close, and this closeness continued till end of 2010, but beyond 2010, we again lost the warmth, and we are now going through a low period. So if history is any guide, beyond 2020, there will be another decade of very close relationship. But I think we need to find a basis. Because of this history, what we can certainly infer is that the two countries have not been able to run away from each other. The compulsions of geopolitics have always brought them back into a partnership. So it is the story of a couple which on 3 occasions at least has tried to file for a divorce. But on each occasion, they end up again living together. So when that is the lesson of history, we might as well find a basis that how we can live happily without having to endure the cost of separation. I hope that now I would like to really congratulate our American friends that we have been able to recover safely an American citizen, her Canadian spouse and other members of the family through a joint share operation based on shared information from US side in which our security agencies took part. And this shows that how much Pakistan and United States can do if they work together as a team, as partner to defeat terrorism in that part of the world. As Foreign Minister was here, and he also very eloquently described that many of the problems we face today are not our doing or not our choice. They are a legacy of history, which is a shared legacy. Pakistan did not know the phone number or email or fax number of Osama bin Laden or many of his associates who were brought to that part of the world by the Western intelligence agencies and introduced to our intelligence agencies to fight a war, holy war, a jihad against the Soviet Union. But unfortunately, as soon as that war was over, everyone washed their hands and walked away, leaving the whole mess in the region for us to face. Today, you all know that if there are a few dozen or 100 refugees from Syria and they land up in Europe or in America, how big an issue that becomes in the media. But nobody appreciates that people of Pakistan have extended hospitality to not 3 dozen, not to 3,000, but to 3.5 million Afghan refugees for last 3 decades. These refugees were not our refugees. They are refugees of a war which was fought by the free world against, at that time, the so-called evil empire of communism in Soviet Union. Certainly the free world got its trophy, and the academicians wrote the end of history. They declared end of history. But we were not left with end of suffering. We had a great cost of refugees. We had a great cost of drug running and arms running that was left in Pakistan as a legacy of that war. Similarly, in Afghanistan, which was poorest of the poor society, there was dumps of ammunition and a militant ideology. I don't need to mention that it was probably University of Nebraska that developed curriculum for Afghan refugee schools to give them militancy, that how one Kalashnikov plus one Kalashnikov makes two Kalashnikovs. So all this militancy that was brought and all the ammunition that was stored and the poverty, ammunition and militant ideas would not have produced for sure Ford motor vans or IBM computers. They would have only nurtured militancy and terrorism. And that is what we faced through these years. And if at that time, $5 or $10 billion Marshall Plan or a plan to de-radicalize Afghanistan or to de-weaponize Afghanistan had been set up, today the free world would not have to pay trillions of dollars for the Afghan war. I think this is a history we need to learn, and this lesson of history, that walking away from shared responsibility ultimately catches up and catches up big. So I hope that now, after 9/11, all the conflict that has gone in the region, we will find a global partnership to put the mess in that part of the world right. And I always tell my American friends that when I was studying here, I always had a very good experience that sometimes I called a plumber to fix a fixture in my apartment. If he spent 20 minutes fixing the fixture, he spent another 10 minutes cleaning the place. And when he left, you could not say that someone had done any plumbing in this place. So the place was as good as it was before plumbing. So I think that post-plumbing cleaning is very critical for the peace of the region and of the world. And that is a responsibility which we all share. It is not just on us that we can do it alone. The international community has to do it as a shared responsibility, and we would never walk away from our role because we are the first country that has a stake in the stability of Afghanistan. If Afghanistan is not stable, if there is conflict in Afghanistan, we face the first brunt because we face the refugees and we face drug running and ammunition running. But if Afghanistan is stable and peaceful, we are the first country to have the dividend of peace in Afghanistan. So therefore, our intentions should never be doubted and can never be doubted that we have any other interest in Afghanistan except to see peace and security. With this background, I would like to say that Pakistan, which has been member of this new war in the region, paid a very heavy price. This war came into Pakistan, and our own cities and our own regions inside the country, areas very deep inside the country, were also victims of terrorism. And in last 10 years, we have paid a heavy price, almost over 74,000 casualties dead and injured, over $123 billion worth of economic loss. And in 2013, when our government came into power, Pakistan faced three major challenges. One was security due to this terrorism threat. Not a week would go pass by when there would not be a major terrorism incident in the country. And as a matter of fact, if in any week people heard news of an incident in which there was single-digit loss of human lives, it was normally said that we have a very peaceful day, because double-digit loss and three-digit loss into 40s, 50s, and 100 was very common story. The economy had reached a point where we were almost close to bankruptcy. The growth rate had stagnated at 3%, 2.5%. And economists, just as in the 80s and 90s, they had coined the term of Hindu growth rate for India, some economists coined the term Urdu growth rate for Pakistan's slow economic growth by 2012 and 13. Our foreign stock market had crashed to 19,000 index, and investors were going away. Similarly, our energy crisis had become out of control because of the economic situation. There was no investment in past many years. So country was facing 18 to 20 hours of power shortages in most of the cities and most of the places. It was a common sight that you would have candles burned to light in the night, because electricity would not come for long enough time for UPS batteries to recharge. So as a result, people could not even use the batteries to have electricity, and they had to light the candles at night to get light. And many newspapers wrote that Pakistan has been sent back into Stone Age. So this was the Pakistan of 2013. Newsweek had put us on the front page, title page, the most dangerous country in the world is not Iraq, it is Pakistan. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm just reminding you that this is the benchmark from where we started our journey. And today, in 2017, I can very happily say that where we did not have electricity for 20 hours, we have electricity for more than 20 hours in a day. And within few months, inshallah, we are hoping that we will be able to reduce power shortages to zero with addition of the new projects which are in pipeline and will be completed in next few months. So there has been a marked turnaround in country's energy sector. We are adding 10,000 megawatts of new power in only 3 years, last 3 years, compared to 16,000 megawatts capacity that we developed in 66 years, from 47 till 2013. So I'm giving you this comparison to realize that what has been accomplished in Pakistan is not ordinary, it is extraordinary. If we were able to produce 16,000 megawatts in 66 years, adding 10,000 megawatts in just 3 years is not an ordinary success. The second most important success is the turnaround in the security situation. Government seized the opportunity with the terrible tragedy of Peshawar Public School incident, because it is said that when you have a crisis, each crisis also offers an opportunity. The Prime Minister seized that opportunity by inviting all the political leaders and the military leadership. They sat down for 2 days and they developed a national action plan to fight extremists in the country and to clean the tribal areas of any presence these elements may have. As a result, Operation Azd, which was started and now which is followed by Operation Raddul Fasad, Pakistan has broken the back of terrorism and extremism in the country. The same country where we used to have these incidents almost every week or on daily basis in some parts, now months and months pass, there is no terror-related incident. The number of incidents which used to be more than 400 in a year have reduced to 10 or 11 per year. So there has been more than 90% reduction in terrorism-related incidents. Similarly, one major challenge we faced was the peace situation in Karachi, which is the financial capital of Pakistan. The people of Karachi had lost hope in Karachi. And I remember in 2012 and 13, whenever I visited Karachi and met with the businessmen, I always heard a story or a few stories of businessmen telling me that how they are relocating to either Dubai, Canada, or at the least to Lahore because they have lost faith in Karachi. Ladies and gentlemen, today Karachi is back in business. In September 2013, an operation was started, a security operation was started in Karachi, and Prime Minister made clear that we will not make any exception, that we will proceed against all criminals regardless of who they are. As a result of a very successful operation led by the Rangers in city of Karachi, today Karachi city is back to normal, is peaceful, and more than 100 factories which had shut down have restarted their production and they are back into business. So Karachi is also now normal and enjoying peace and security. So with return of peace and security, the confidence of investors was restored in Pakistan. And government also had to start a program with IMF in the very beginning, because when we came into government, we were faced with a situation where we had to pay back the loan which previous government had borrowed. And if we paid that loan and we did not have additional financing, there was a real danger of Pakistan's economy going into default. So we had no choice except to enter into an IMF program, and it was a 3-year program. Our government took that challenge, and for the first time in the history of Pakistan, we completed an IMF program by undertaking all the reforms that were needed. In the past, whenever we entered the IMF program, we made an early exit because for political compulsions, governments found that the conditionalities of reform that were required to be met were too harsh or too difficult, and government could not afford to take the political cost of those conditionalities. So in the past, we have always walked out of IMF programs. It is for the first time that our government completed 3 years of IMF program and met all the benchmarks, which restored the trust and confidence of international financial community in the stability, in the macroeconomic stability of Pakistan. When we came into government, we inherited a deficit of over 9% of GDP. Today, that has been reduced to around 5.5% of GDP. We have also worked hard to improve tax collection in the country. And let me also share with you that in 1999, when we were removed from government, the tax to GDP ratio in Pakistan was 13.5%. But unfortunately, when we returned to government in 2013, it had dropped to less than 9%. And now, again, as a result of number of measures, tax measures that have been taken, we have been able to improve and increase the tax to GDP ratio from less than 9% to about 10.5%. And we hope to reach 13 or 14% in next few years, because if we have to develop, we must mobilize our own resources. But our jeopardy was this, that while we needed more taxes, there was no growth in economy because there was no energy. Energy is like oxygen for any modern economy. Just as humans cannot survive without oxygen, modern economy cannot function without energy. So in an economy where factories and industry and agriculture was without electricity for 18, 20 hours, how could we expect there could be any activity or there could be any surplus for government to generate in tax revenue? But as our electricity supply has stabilized, now we are witnessing growth in manufacturing and agriculture sector, and that is bringing stability to our economy. However, because of this acute demand for investment, because in last 14 years, no investment had taken place, we had to undertake massive investment in our infrastructure, energy infrastructure and physical infrastructure, road and rail infrastructure. So in last couple of years, we have seen an exponential growth in our imports. And this growth is for some people worrisome, but then I would say that there was no walking away from this growth, because bulk of this import is not luxury goods. It is plant and machinery that is coming into Pakistan. If we have to set up new power plants, the machinery and the equipment of the power plants has to be imported. And as we restore electricity supply in the country, industries have to undertake expansion and modernization of their production facilities, and they also have to import more plant and equipment. So this growth in imports, while will hurt us in the short term, but will directly contribute to the production of the economy and also to the growth of economy, and the growth will help us sustain the additional load that will come on our economy. So Pakistan is also now attracting foreign investment from different sources. In 2013, the foreign investment had dropped to less than $1 billion, about 500 or $600 million. Today, we are over $2.4 billion. And this is increasing as we are able to mobilize the investment from China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. And ladies and gentlemen, let me also share with you that China-Pakistan Economic Corridor has been a great source of strength for us to revive Pakistan's economic performance, because this came at a time when Pakistan desperately needed foreign investment in energy and infrastructure. But due to the overall security situation of the region, foreign investors were shying from investing in Pakistan. But we are grateful to our friends in China that the leadership there decided that they will help Pakistan in time of need, and Chinese private investment came into the energy sector. And we had an understanding, or we developed an agreement to channelize $46 billion investment in Pakistan's economy, out of which $35 billion was in energy sector, and all of it was earmarked for private sector investment. None of it is a loan which government of Pakistan is borrowing. Whole portfolio of energy sector is private investment in IPP mode that is coming into Pakistan. And I think that has created enormous opportunities for us, because for the first time we were able to develop our mastery or our know-how in coal technology to produce electricity. You are aware that Pakistan has been blessed with a huge coal deposit, which is enough to last for 400 years if it produces 5,000 megawatts of energy per year. But in 70 years, no one ever was able to harness this huge gold mine which existed in Pakistan to produce cheap electricity. So as a result of the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, we have started mining projects and power projects in Thar, which will produce enormous cheap electricity in Pakistan. Similarly, we have also started renewable energy projects, about 600 megawatts wind energy projects in Sindh and a 1,000 megawatt solar energy park in Bahawalpur, out of which 300 megawatts has been installed and remaining will also be installed within next 1 year. So this will give Pakistan a great breakthrough in terms of developing know-how in renewable energy, which is the energy of the future. Similarly, we had not invested in the hydel projects in Pakistan because Pakistan is blessed with a lot of water resources, but we had failed to use or mobilize hydel energy in our portfolio. After Ghazi Bharota project, which was done in 90s, no major hydel project had been done in Pakistan. So with CPAC, we started 2 new hydel projects. One is Karot and one is Suki Kanari. And in addition to these 2 projects, we also, with the help of World Bank, started Dasu hydel project, which has a capacity to produce 4,500 megawatts of energy. And in addition, a very important project for Pakistan, which is the Amir Bhasha Dam, for which we found that while opening ceremonies had been done, first time by General Musharraf, second time by Prime Minister Gilani, but no one had bothered to acquire the land for the project. So then, we started the process of acquisition of land, and we have just completed $1 billion acquisition of land from our own resources, and we are hoping that within next 6 to 10 months, we should be able to break the ground for construction of the Amir Bhasha Dam, which will also produce 4,500 megawatt energy, but more important, provide us 6 million acre feet water reservoir, which is very critical for future food security of our country. So on the energy sector, in addition to these projects, we also started 3 projects based on LNG, which are all done through our own resources, supported by government's development budget. And these 3 projects will produce 3,600 megawatts of energy. And General Electric has been our partner, and it has provided us the new latest technology turbines to produce very efficient, highly efficient energy from gas through these projects. So all in all, these investments have enabled us to stabilize Pakistan's energy situation and also plan for future energy demands of the country. We have also recently completed the Chashma nuclear power plant, and also hoping the completion of Tarbela 4 and Neelam Jhelum plants, which actually had become white elephants in the past because governments had not provided them funds. So this will inshallah take us into next also 10 years and give us adequate energy so that we do not have a shortage in the future. In addition to this, as part of CPAC, we are working very closely with Chinese side to relocate industry from China to Pakistan. As you know, that China has now experienced very high development and the cost of labor has increased. China, which was the manufacturing hub of the world, is now losing competitiveness in the low end of manufacturing because light engineering and labor intensive industries are becoming uncompetitive, and that industry is relocating to other countries. And right now there are about 85 million jobs in China's manufacturing sector that will be relocated to Asian countries and African countries because they are no more viable in their economy. So Pakistan is now also working closely to set up industrial zones so that we can attract a fair amount of those jobs to create new industrial base for Pakistan's economy so that we can provide jobs to our youth. The other important element of government's intervention has been human resource. In last 3 years, we have increased the funding for higher education, which is with federal government, from 13 billion rupees to 35 billion rupees. It has been almost 3 times increase that has been made in the higher education budget. In 3 years, we will set up one university campus in each district of Pakistan, so that every youth, girl and boy who has an ambition to pursue higher education is not left behind because their parents cannot afford high cost of education in other cities, or for girls, sometimes there are social barriers where families do not want them to go to other cities. And I can give you one example how this policy is bringing small revolution. In my own district, which is a very rural district, very underdeveloped district, we started a university campus 3 years ago. And today there are more than 3,000 students studying in this campus. And you will be surprised to know that in a very remote rural district of Pakistan, which is Narowal, out of these 3,000 plus students, 80% are girl students. So these campuses in different districts are actually enabling the girls of Pakistan to get quality education and higher education. And we have now a kind of a counter-gender revolution happening in our universities. And I am sometimes compelled to say to our boys that my fear is in next 10 years, the most common profession in Pakistan might be house husbands, because the speed and the talent which girls are showing, they are soon going to put our boys out of competition. In the recent civil service exam, also the most premier branch of the civil service, which is district management or administrative service, majority of the officers are girls. So therefore, we are happy that education is becoming a major equalizer in the society. In addition to campuses, we are also focusing on developing new capabilities. This year, we have started 4 initiatives with centers of excellence in artificial intelligence, center of excellence in cybersecurity, center of intelligence in automation and robotics, and center of excellence in big data and cloud computing. Now, these are the drivers of the 4th industrial revolution. And this 4th industrial revolution is not there yet, but in next maybe 2 decades, it is going to become a new reality. And many of the jobs will be, the traditional job market will be lost or will be obsolete, and many new millions of jobs will be created through new technology platforms and new technology solutions. So we are now also working with the experts to develop a good understanding that how we need to retool our education system, our vocational and training system, so that we develop new competencies and we develop new skills for our youth, so that when this 4th industrial revolution hits us, we are not its victim, but we become its beneficiary. Similarly, I'm also very passionate about an initiative which I had started, and that is for which we also would require that you also give your support and be our lobbyists, and that is US-Pakistan Knowledge Corridor. As we expand our higher education system, we need quality faculty. We already have a great big gap in terms of the PhD faculty that is there in our universities. So if we will expand our base by reaching out to all districts, we would need a lot more faculty. Now, in order to produce that faculty, Government of Pakistan has made allocations in the budget. We are not asking USAID for funds. We don't want to beg for our development of human resource, because that is our primary need and our primary duty to invest in our human resource. But we certainly hope that the government of United States and the State Department and other agencies, administration, education department, as well as the local universities will help us in facilitating access to these universities through admission of our students, not by compromising on merit. We certainly would like these students to be admitted on merit, but we would certainly like that there should be special consideration for Pakistani students to be placed in good universities, because we have a big gap. Unfortunately, there were times in the past when there were moments when one word from our ruler would not be a request for US administration. That would have been a command. If Ayub Khan in 60s had made this request, that would have been considered not as a request but as a command. If General Ziaul Haq had made this request, that would not be taken as a request, it would be taken as a command. If Musharraf after 9/11 had made this request, it could have been a command. But during those periods when we had best of the best relations with America, because we had dictatorship, their vision was only confined to getting one extra piece of F-104 or F-16 aircraft or a few more missiles from United States arsenal. They did not realize that the real arsenal or the real power of United States is not in its weaponry, it is in its universities. What makes United States a superpower is the power and strength of its universities. And that is what we missed in the past. And now we are hoping that we can get that access. And just to share with you that what kind of gap we have is that there are about 250,000 plus, close to 300,000 Chinese students studying today in the United States. There are about 125 to 150,000 Indian students studying in the United States. There are today 12 to 15,000 plus students from Iran, with which United States has very difficult relations. But from Pakistan, which has been a very close ally, we only have 5 to 6,000 students in the United States. And there is a direct link of the students we have in the United States and the development of the country. And I always share this story. One of my professors, when I was studying here, said to me that, I'll give you a rule of thumb. If you want to see which country is taking off in next decade, come and look at our PhD programs. In 50s, if you had come, there were Japanese all over. And in 60s, they took off. And in 60s, he said, if you had come here, you would have found South Koreans everywhere. And in 70s, they took off. In 80s, when I was studying here, I distinctly remember 3 nationalities dominating the PhD programs here: Chinese, Malaysians, and Indians. And in 90s, all the 3 countries took off. So I think this is a major missing link in Pakistan-US relations and Pakistan's development strategy, that we need this high-quality human resource that will be able to sustain us in future. And we are hoping that Pakistan and the United States can have a good relationship, a good partnership in which we can benefit from United States soft power. And I also tell our friends in US administration that we know that today you cannot match the strength that other countries have in terms of dollars to give us investments. But the United States has a great soft power in shape of its education, through which it can make an impact of billions of dollars by helping us develop a new generation of leaders, a new generation of scientists, a new generation of researchers, which will help us take Pakistan forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, as a result of the changes and the reforms that we have brought in the 3 sectors, if you recall, in 2013, our manifesto projected three E's. One was energy, second was economy, and third was elimination of extremism. On all the three fronts, I am very happy to say that we have made a steady progress. Energy situation is much better. You can today call anyone in Pakistan and ask them, how is the energy compared to 4 years ago? And I'm sure they will tell you energy situation is much better. You can call home, you must be visiting, and ask anybody back home that how is the security situation in Pakistan. They will tell you that energy security situation is much better compared to 4 years ago. You call them that how is the general economic situation, they will certainly tell you it is much better and promising than it was 4 years ago. And now I am a minister, I must defend my government. But let me share with you two realities which will help you understand that what I am saying is not too off the mark. For 2 years consecutively, Pakistan has seen the highest number of domestic tourism ever witnessed in the country. Last year, 1 million tourists visited Gilgit-Baltistan alone. This year again, more than 1 million tourists went to Gilgit-Baltistan. Similarly, Neelam Valley, Kagan, Swat, Murree, Nathia Gali, name any tourist destination, it was full to overcapacity. Now what does it show? It shows that people are having confidence in peace and security. It also shows that people are having some extra income with which they can take their family for excursion trip, for tourist trips. The second indicator is how people of Pakistan celebrate 14th of August. And again, if you ask anyone in Pakistan, for last 2 years consecutively, billions of rupees have been spent in celebration of 14th August celebrations. The whole nation has never had that spirit. The whole nation has not seen that kind of sentiment that we have seen. That again shows that there is revival of hope. There is a positivity that is coming back in the nation. So Pakistan is rebounding, Pakistan is rising, and that is the message I want to leave. And we hope that our expatriate community or Pakistani diaspora now has to establish a strong link with their own country. Because if you look at the success stories of the past, whether it is Malaysia, it is South Korea, it is Singapore, it is China, it is India, in each case their expatriate community played a major role by bringing in their experience, by bringing in their ideas, by bringing in their investments, by bringing new technology solutions to help country move at a faster pace. I think now we have normalized country to a point where our expatriates can begin to look back and find opportunities where you can make a difference. And we certainly hope that with your experience, with your knowledge, Pakistan stands to gain a great deal. And let me conclude by saying that in 2013, when we started our journey, people doubted our intentions and people doubted our claims. I remember in 2014 when we presented Pakistan Vision 2025, which was our roadmap how to put Pakistan in the top 25 economies. Many Socrates and Bucrates questioned us whether we can do it. And let me say that please don't listen to these Socrates and Bucrates who come on the talk shows. They are enough to give you a sleepless night. Pakistan is not a horror story like these talk shows would like to make you believe. Pakistan is a different reality. One day I happened to be at one talk show and the host asked me that, sir, you must admit the government is in deep mess and crisis. I said, I agree with you 500% that we are in very deep crisis. But the problem is that this crisis starts at 8 p.m. and ends at midnight with the end of the talk shows. So the reality of Pakistan is outside the talk shows that we hear. It is, alhamdulillah, people are much more hopeful. They are looking forward. And what I was telling you, that in 2014, people doubted our intentions. But today, look what is the world saying about Pakistan? Go back, Google Price Waterhouse Coopers World Rankings. PwC is not a small organization. It is a credible international consulting company that compiles rankings of the world economies and the countries on a yearly basis. The latest ranking it has produced of the world, it says that if Pakistan continues the same momentum, by 2030, it will be in the top 20 economies of the world. That means that if we sustain our path with stability and continuity, and if we keep moving with this momentum, Pakistan can be in the G20 countries by 2030. Now, this is not the government of Pakistan making this claim. This is coming from a credible international source. And why are they saying this? They are saying this because Pakistan has very fundamental inherent advantages. We are located at a very strategic place at the intersection of three engines of growth in Asia: South Asia, China, and Central Asia. Through connectivity corridors that we are envisaging to establish, we will, inshallah, become a hub of trade and commerce in that region. Why they are saying this? We are a country of about 200 million people, of which 2/3 are young, and we have a demographic dividend because we have a productive workforce with us. Why are they saying this? Because we have 70 to 80 million middle class in that part of the world, because this number is much bigger than many European countries. So each of those middle class members wants to have a good quality of life, and they aspire for everything that somebody in United States and Europe aspires for. And as a result, we are seeing that due to the stabilization that has come in Pakistan, now not only Chinese investors are coming to Pakistan, but leading international investors are investing in Pakistan. A Dutch company has made a $400 million acquisition in Pakistan. 3 leading automakers, including